The sky over the United Earth Defense Academy was a crisp azure, rarely marked by anything but the occasional cloud and the even rarer aircraft practicing maneuvers. Situated in the sprawling, verdant campus on the outskirts of New Geneva, the Academy stood as a testament to Earth's commitment to defense and peacekeeping in an increasingly complicated galaxy. Its grounds were vast, housing everything from advanced tactical training centers to experimental tech labs, surrounded by high-security perimeters that were both discreet and impenetrable. It was a day like any other, with cadets engaged in rigorous physical training sessions, while others, in tech-laden classrooms, delved into the complexities of interstellar politics and wartime ethics. The atmosphere buzzed with a disciplined chaos until the radar technician on duty spotted an anomaly. "Colonel, you're going to want to see this," the young lieutenant called out. Her eyes locked onto the screen, displaying the trajectory of an unidentified object making its way through Earth's atmosphere. Colonel Harriet Jang, a middle-aged woman known for her unshakable composure and sharp intellect, approached with swift strides. "Report, Lieutenant," she commanded. "It's an unidentified craft, ma'am. No prior signals or flight plans. It just appeared out of nowhere," the lieutenant reported, her voice a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Alert the Air Command, scramble the interceptors, but keep them at a standby. Let's not be too hasty. It could be one of ours gone off course," Colonel Jang decided, her gaze fixed on the large screen tracking the fast-approaching object. Minutes felt like hours, as the entire academy seemed to hold its breath. The craft, sleek and silvery, pierced through the clouds, decelerating as it neared the academy's main field. With a silence that belied its earlier speed, the spacecraft landed gently on the grass, its design unlike anything even the most seasoned among them had seen. As the dust settled, the hatch opened slowly. A figure emerged, towering and imposing, covered in shimmering metallic scales that reflected the sun's rays in dazzling patterns. The creature, or rather the alien, stepped forward. His eyes, if they could be called that, flickered with intelligence and a hint of caution as he surveyed his surroundings. Xylo, as he later introduced himself through a device translating his chirps and whistles into fluent English, was a soldier from Krylor. His home planet, unknown to most Earthlings, had sent him as part of an intergalactic exchange program that was initiated in deep secrecy to build alliances and share knowledge across cosmic civilizations. Colonel Jang stepped forward, her face the picture of diplomatic calm. "Welcome to Earth, Lieutenant Xylo. I'm Colonel Harriet Jang. We hope your stay at the United Earth Defense Academy will be both productive and peaceful." Xylo's translator buzzed, and a smooth baritone voice replied, "Thank you, Colonel Jang. I am here to learn and to observe. I bring greetings from Krylor and hopes for a fruitful collaboration." As they walked towards the main building, Xylo, towering a full head above even the tallest cadet, whispers filled the air. His presence was as commanding as it was exotic, his every move watched by hundreds of curious eyes. Colonel Jang, sensing the growing unease mixed with curiosity, turned to address a gathering crowd of cadets. "This is Lieutenant Xylo from Krylor. He will be joining us as part of a military exchange program. I expect everyone to extend the utmost courtesy and cooperation." Xylo nodded, his eyes taking in the sea of young, determined faces before him. Despite the warm welcome, the air was thick with tension, an invisible shroud that seemed to follow the alien visitor. As they toured the facility, Xylo was impressed by the human cadet's vigor and the Academy's advanced technologies. Yet beneath his stoic exterior, a creeping sense of unease began to take root. The array of weapons displayed in the armory, each capable of destruction on a massive scale, the intense combat drills, it all painted a picture of a species ready for war at a moment's notice. His first day at the United Earth Defense Academy concluded with a quiet dinner with the senior staff, where strategies and policies were discussed with polite, if somewhat guarded, camaraderie. Xylo listened more than he spoke, his mind racing with questions and fears he dared not voice yet. That night, as the alien soldier lay in the specially prepared quarters, the reality of his mission settled in. He was alone, far from home, surrounded by potential foes dressed as friends. As he drifted into an uneasy sleep, the image of Earth's blue and peaceful facade lingered in his mind, a stark contrast to the arsenal of war he had glimpsed beneath its surface. The coming days would surely test the strength of this nascent interstellar relationship. As the first light of dawn crept across the sprawling grounds of the United Earth Defense Academy, Xylo was already awake, the unsettling dreams of warfare and destruction still vivid in his mind. He had spent the night reviewing Earth's military history provided to him via the Academy's digital archives, a tale of conflict and resolution that spanned centuries. The morning brought with it the official start of his integration into the Academy's daily routines. Colonel Zhang had arranged a diverse schedule that included observational visits to various training classes, tactical strategy meetings, and physical conditioning sessions. "Your first week will be observational," Zhang had explained. "You need to understand our foundational practices before participating." Physical training. Xylo's first stop was at the physical training grounds. As he towered beside Colonel Zhang watching a group of cadets undergoing morning drills, the intensity of the exercises struck him. The cadets, young men and women of various builds, were pushed to their limits, running through obstacle-laden courses with full gear, their instructors shouting commands and corrections. "Physical prowess is vital," Zhang commented, noticing Xylo's interest. "A soldier must be prepared to face any physical challenge, whether on Earth, in space, or on unfamiliar terrains." Xylo nodded, his eyes following a particularly grueling exercise where cadets had to crawl under barbed wire, followed by a series of jumps and weapon maneuvers. The purpose behind each drill was clear, designed to build stamina, strength, and agility, but the Krylorian couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for the cadets. Tactical warfare classes. Next on the schedule was a visit to the tactical warfare classes. Xylo sat in on a session where cadets engaged in a real-time strategy simulation that involved an Earth-based defense against a hypothetical alien invasion. The cadets were divided into teams, each handling different aspects of the military response, from aerial strikes to ground troop deployment and cyber warfare. The room buzzed with intense focus as cadets shouted coordinates and commands, rapidly adapting to the evolving scenario. Xylo was impressed by their knowledge and adaptability, but disturbed by the ease and enthusiasm with which they planned the annihilation of the invading forces. Colonel Zhang leaned over. "These simulations are crucial. They teach quick thinking, leadership, and the importance of cohesive team action." Xylo understood the practicality of such exercises. However, the simulated destruction of alien forces made him distinctly uncomfortable, considering his own extraterrestrial origin. Psychological operations. Perhaps the most unsettling part of Xylo's day involved a lecture on psychological operations. The class delved into the strategies used to undermine enemy morale, with examples that spanned Earth's various conflicts. Techniques discussed included the dissemination of propaganda, the use of psychological profiling to exploit weaknesses, and the strategic benefits of psychological warfare. Xylo was taken aback by the manipulation involved in these operations. Back on Krylor, warfare was straightforward, primarily based on territorial disputes and resource allocations. The concept of psychologically breaking an opponent was foreign and deeply troubling. As the lecturer detailed a particularly successful operation that led to the surrender of an insurgent group without a single shot fired, Xylo felt a chill. The cadets took notes intensely, some with visible excitement about such clean victories. This segment of human warfare, hidden behind the visible might of physical weapons, was an area that Krylorians had overlooked. Reflections. The day ended with a quiet walk back to his quarters alongside Colonel Zhang, who seemed keen to know his thoughts on the day's sessions. Xylo chose his words carefully. "Your training is comprehensive and thorough," Xylo started, pausing to find the right words. "The emphasis on mental fortitude and psychological readiness is impressive." Zhang nodded. "It has to be. We prepare them for all conceivable scenarios. Our enemies do not always come with brute force. Sometimes the battlefield is the mind itself." Xylo remained silent for a moment before adding, "It is much to ponder. On Krylor, we train for honor and clarity in combat. The complexities here are vast. As they parted ways, Jang with a respectful nod and Xylo with a bow customary of Krylorian culture, the alien soldier felt a growing respect for these human cadets and their leaders. But beneath that respect lurked a kernel of fear, of what it meant to be on the wrong side of such well-prepared warriors, and of the potential destruction they could wield so efficiently. His first week was just beginning, and Xylo knew that much more awaited him. More insights, more shocks to his system, more glimpses into the human capacity for war and peace. Each step was a step deeper into the complex world of human military might and the stark realities of their preparedness for conflict. As Xylo continued to immerse himself in the daily rigors of the United Earth Defense Academy, the initial shock of human military culture began to give way to a nuanced understanding. Still, the unease never fully dissipated, especially as he prepared to participate in his first hands-on activity, a combat simulation. This was no ordinary training exercise. It was designed as a capstone test for senior cadets, and Xylo was invited not just to observe, but to be part of the team. Preparation and briefing. The day of the simulation, Xylo met with Major Carter, the simulations coordinator, who briefed him on the scenario. They stood in the control room overlooking a large digital map, lit with virtual troop movements and engagement outcomes. Today's scenario is a defensive operation against a hypothetical Tier 3 civilization invasion, Major Carter explained, using Earth's classification system, where Tier 3 signified a highly advanced and hostile alien force. You'll be part of Alpha Team, handling our drone defenses and supporting aerial strikes. Xylo, equipped with a translator device, nodded. His role was clear, but the underlying tension of fighting against an alien invader, even in a simulated environment, weighed heavily on him. Simulation start. In the simulation room, cadets were dressed in virtual reality gear that linked directly to their neural interfaces. Xylo was given a modified set, tailored to accommodate his larger frame and different physiological structure. The room darkened, and suddenly, Xylo found himself on the virtual battlefield, a realistic Earth cityscape around him, eerily deserted. The simulation began with the rapid approach of enemy crafts, sleek, menacing, and undeniably Krylorian in design. Alpha Team, move out. Xylo, you're on drones. Take to the skies and clear a path for ground forces, commanded the team leader, a cadet named Lieutenant Davis. Xylo's hands moved almost instinctively, piloting the virtual drone using the human interface. The city below buzzed with activity as holographic enemies advanced. The sky lit up with simulated explosions, each blast a reminder of the deadly seriousness of this game. Heat of battle cadets moved with precision, their formations tight as they communicated through headsets, calling out positions and directing fire. Xylo, flying over the virtual battlefield, felt a pang of distress with each enemy he helped take down. These virtual foes looked too much like his own people. Lieutenant, we have a squadron of enemy bombers coming in from the east, Xylo reported, his voice calm but strained. Roger that, Xylo. Intercept them. We can't let them drop their payload, responded Lieutenant Davis. As Xylo maneuvered the drone to engage, the reality of the situation struck him hard. Each explosion against the virtual Krylorian bombers felt like a betrayal of his kind, despite knowing this was all a simulation designed for training. Casualties and medical evacuation. Midway through the simulation, disaster struck. The enemy launched a counteroffensive. A direct hit to the ground forces near Xylo's position resulted in virtual casualties. Cadets acting as medics rushed in, their movements practiced and precise, treating the wounded with expert care. Xylo was injured in the assault, a scripted part of the scenario to test the cadets' response to leader incapacitation. As he lay on the simulated battlefield, awaiting evacuation, he watched the medics work. Their efficiency was admirable, but the emotionless manner in which they processed each casualty disturbed him. Debrief and reflections. After the simulation ended, the lights came back on, and the room buzzed with the adrenaline-fueled chatter of cadets. Xylo, however, was quiet, processing everything he had experienced. During the debrief, Major Carter praised the team's performance. "Well done, Alpha Team. You adapted well and responded effectively under pressure." Xylo listened as the cadets discussed their maneuvers and strategies with enthusiasm. When it was his turn to speak, he paused, choosing his words with care. "The simulation was very enlightening," he began, his translator emitting his diplomatic choice of words. "I am impressed by your coordination and tactical acumen. However, I am concerned about the emotional detachment with which casualties, even simulated, are handled." His comment sparked a brief silence, then a thoughtful discussion about the balance between emotional engagement and the necessity for detachment in warfare. As they left the debrief room, Colonel Zhang approached Xylo. "These simulations are tough, but they're designed to prepare us for the realities of conflict. How are you holding up?" Xylo turned to her, a slight crease of worry visible beneath his metallic scales. "I understand the necessity, Colonel, yet I find the reality presented here daunting. It is a lot to absorb." Zhang nodded sympathetically. "It is for many of us, Xylo. Let's ensure you get more context on why we do what we do here. Perhaps that will help." As Xylo retired to his quarters, his thoughts were a tangle of admiration for human military efficiency and a deepening fear of the implications of such preparedness. The line between simulation and reality blurred, leaving him to wonder about the true cost of readiness. The experiences today had shown him the duality of human nature, capable of great cooperation and potentially devastating conflict. His report to Krylor would need to be carefully balanced. In the quiet solitude of his quarters at the United Earth Defense Academy, Xylo wrestled with his thoughts long into the night. The simulations that were meant to foster understanding seemed only to deepen his trepidation about human military capabilities. Sleep was fitful, disturbed by flashes from the day's virtual battles, echoes of explosions, and the chilling sight of cadets treating their tasks with detached precision. Lying in the dimly lit room, the shadows seemed to pulse with the rhythm of his troubled thoughts. Xylo found himself caught between his role as an observer and the instinctual pull of his moral compass. His dreams were vivid and unsettling, filled with scenes of warfare where he could neither fly away nor fight back, a stark contrast to his celebrated military career on Krylor. He dreamt of the Earth cadets marching not beside him but towards him, their faces blank, their weapons drawn. He saw his own hands, not commanding drones as in the simulation, but held up in surrender, an alien on Earth, utterly alone. The morning light brought little relief. Xylo rose, feeling the weight of what today's schedule held. A debrief on psychological warfare tactics, a subject he had found particularly jarring. He met Colonel Zhang for breakfast in the mess hall, which buzzed with the cadets' energetic conversations about upcoming exams and training exercises. "Good morning, Xylo. How are you settling in?" Zhang asked, her voice carrying a warm, genuine concern. Xylo paused, measuring his words. "It's been challenging, Colonel. The disciplines here are quite rigorous," he replied, diplomatically avoiding mention of his nocturnal unrest. Zhang nodded, perhaps sensing his discomfort. "It's not uncommon. These sessions are intense, but they're also revealing. They show us not just how to fight, but often why we fight," she explained, hoping to ease his mind. Deeper into the psychological mire. The day's sessions did little to comfort him. In a dimly lit classroom, Xylo and the cadets discussed the psychological aspects of warfare. The instructor, Captain Lee, detailed historical instances where psychological tactics had decisively ended conflicts, saving lives, but at a moral cost. "We call it winning hearts and minds, or sometimes breaking them, depending on the situation," Captain Lee said, with a stark frankness that took Xylo aback. The cadets listened, rapt, as he described operations that involved spreading misinformation to confuse and demoralize the enemy. Xylo felt a visceral discomfort as scenarios were laid out, each more manipulative than the last. The strategy of undermining an enemy's will to fight through fear and doubt was alien to him. Krylorian conflicts were straightforward, honor-bound, and did not involve such subterfuge. As the lecture concluded, Xylo stayed back to question Captain Lee, his tone filled with a mix of curiosity and critique. "Is there ever concern," Xylo asked, "that these tactics erode your own soldiers' sense of morality or honor?" Captain Lee considered the question seriously. "It's a fine line, Lieutenant. We train our cadets to understand that these tools are just that, tools. How they use them depends on the context of the mission and the values we instill in them here at the Academy." Xylo pondered this as he left, feeling unsettled. The morning's revelations had only deepened his internal conflict about the humans' complex approach to warfare, which seemed at odds with his own people's values of clarity and honor in battle. Evening solace. Seeking solace, Xylo spent the evening at the Academy's observatory, a place he had found comfort in before, surrounded by the silent majesty of the stars. The quiet of the space soothed him, and he found himself speaking quietly to the stars, as if they were old friends from Krylor. "I am caught between admiration and fear, between the peace you taught me and the war they prepare for," he whispered. As he gazed out at the cosmos, Xylo felt a small hand on his shoulder. Turning, he saw a young cadet, Mira, who often assisted in navigation classes. "Sir, are you all right?" she asked, her face etched with concern. Xylo smiled, gently, touched by her empathy. "I am learning, cadet. Sometimes learning can be a heavy burden." Mira nodded, understandingly. "If there's anything we can do to help," she offered. "I appreciate that, Mira. Perhaps understanding your ways not from books or lectures, but from you, the cadets, might lighten the load," Xylo suggested, a plan forming in his mind. Mira's smile in response was bright. "I think we'd all like that, sir. Let's arrange it." As Mira left, Xylo felt a small comfort in the connection, a reminder that amidst the strategies and simulations there were individuals, each with their own hopes and fears. The weeks at the United Earth Defense Academy continued to challenge Xylo, each day peeling back another layer of human military doctrine and revealing more of the stark realities beneath. His interactions with the cadets, especially Mira and a few others who had taken to joining him in his evening stargazing, had begun to bridge the gap between his initial perceptions and the complexities of human nature. Demonstration Day. The turning point came when Colonel Jang invited Xylo to a demonstration of the Academy's latest weaponry. It was a sunny day, and the open field where the demonstration was to occur was buzzing with anticipation. High-ranking officers and distinguished guests mingled with cadets, all eager to see the firepower of Earth's most advanced military technology. "Today, you'll see just how far we've come, Lieutenant Xylo," Zhang said, a hint of pride in her voice as they took their positions in the viewing stand. The demonstration began with the display of a high-energy laser system, capable of precise strikes from orbit onto the surface. As the laser obliterated a distant abandoned structure with surgical accuracy, murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. Xylo, however, felt a chill run down his spine. The power to destroy so completely from so far away was terrifying. Next came the drones, swarms of them, executing complex maneuvers that showcased their capabilities for both surveillance and combat. These drones can be operated remotely, capable of striking silently without putting human lives at risk, the presenting officer explained. But it was the final presentation that shook Xylo to his core, a biochemical weapon designed specifically to target a hypothetical alien physiology. The officer casually discussed its potential effectiveness in disabling alien invaders through severe neurological disruption. Moral outrage. Xylo could hardly believe what he was hearing. The discussion of such weapons, designed to specifically target alien life forms, struck a deep fear into him. It was one thing to prepare for war against known threats, but the development of such a weapon implied preparations for aggression against hypothetical alien civilizations. He felt his hands clench involuntarily, his face hardening as the reality of what such a weapon could mean bore down on him. Earth was not just preparing to defend itself, it was readying to attack, to incapacitate other beings, even those like him. As the crowd applauded the successful demonstration, Xylo felt more alienated than ever. He turned to Colonel Jiang, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Colonel, may I ask, is it customary to develop weapons against those who have not shown hostility?" Jiang, sensing his discomfort, replied softly, "It's a precaution, Xylo. In a universe as vast as ours, we must be prepared for all possibilities." Decision to depart. The display of raw destructive power and the chilling implications of the biochemical weapons left Xylo deeply disturbed. He excused himself from the festivities early, retreating to the sanctuary of his quarters to gather his thoughts. That evening, under the stars he had come to find solace in, Xylo made a decision. He could not stay silent, nor could he continue in good conscience without voicing his concerns. He composed a message to his superiors on Krylor, detailing his observations, and especially noting the development of weapons that could be seen as provocations by other galactic entities. He also wrote to Colonel Jiang, requesting a meeting to discuss his early departure. His mission was to observe and learn, but now he felt an urgent need to advise his people of the potential threats posed by Earth's military innovations. A farewell meeting. The next morning, Xylo met with Colonel Jiang in her office. "Colonel, I must request permission to return to Krylor earlier than scheduled," Xylo began, his tone formal but tinged with regret. "I am grateful for the hospitality and the learning, but I believe it is in the best interest of Krylor to reassess our relations with Earth." Jiang looked at him, her expression a mix of understanding and concern. "I'm sorry to hear that, Xylo. I hope you don't feel threatened by what you've seen." Xylo shook his head slightly. "Not threatened, Colonel, but concerned, deeply concerned. The power to destroy is formidable, the intent to prepare for war even more so." They spoke at length, discussing the implications of his observations and his feelings about the demonstration. Zhang reassured him that the intent was purely defensive, but agreed to convey his concerns to her superiors. Leaving Earth. As Xylo prepared for his journey back to Krylor, he felt a mixture of relief and sadness. He had hoped to find common ground, perhaps even friendship among the humans. The stars seemed dim as he cast one last look over the academy. His report would be thorough, warning of both the remarkable strengths and the profound dangers he had witnessed. Earth, with all its beauty and vibrancy, was preparing for wars that might never come, against foes they might never meet. His final report would advise caution, preparation, and most importantly, further diplomatic engagement to avoid misunderstanding and conflict. Xylo's mission had changed him. He left Earth not with data and observations, but with questions about what it meant to prepare for peace in a universe where others prepared for war. His departure was quiet, observed only by a few, including Myra, who came to bid farewell, her eyes filled with a mix of respect and sadness. "Goodbye, Lieutenant Xylo. I hope we meet again under better circumstances," she said, her voice hopeful. Xylo nodded, offering her a small, grateful smile. "And you, Cadet Myra. Perhaps next time we will find more answers than questions." With that, he boarded his ship, leaving Earth behind, its lessons etched deeply in his mind. The sleek, metallic spacecraft hummed gently as it prepared to depart from Earth's atmosphere. Xylo stood at the viewport, gazing down at the receding planet, the United Earth Defense Academy, a fading speck in the distance. His time at the Academy had been illuminating and disquieting, leaving him with as many questions as answers. Reflections on departure. As the ship broke free from the gravitational pull, Xylo retreated to his cabin to begin documenting his final report. The solitude of space provided a stark contrast to the bustling activity he had grown accustomed to at the Academy. The quiet allowed him time to reflect, to weigh the significance of his experiences against the possible reactions from his own government. He recalled the demonstrations of raw power, the advanced weaponry, and most alarmingly, the biochemical weapons tailored for specific alien physiologies. Such capabilities highlighted a level of preparedness that bordered on aggression. Xylo's report would need to be carefully crafted, emphasizing the need for caution and preparedness without inciting undue alarm. The report. His report outlined several key observations. Human military capabilities, advanced weaponry that could strike with precision from orbit. Drones capable of complex, autonomous missions requiring minimal human oversight. Biochemical weapons designed to target and incapacitate specific alien species. Training and tactics. Cadets are trained extensively in psychological warfare, aimed at undermining enemy morale. Physical and tactical training that emphasizes speed, efficiency, and ruthless precision. Simulations that prepare cadets for various scenarios, including large-scale interstellar conflicts. Ethical considerations. The development of species-specific biochemical weapons could be perceived as a preemptive aggression strategy. The intense focus on tactical superiority raises questions about the diplomatic intentions of Earth's military. Enhance Krylor's defensive capabilities to prepare for potential future conflicts. Initiate diplomatic dialogue with Earth to clarify intentions and establish mutual understanding. Consider a reciprocal visit by Earth representatives to Krylor to foster transparency and trust. Journey home. With the report finalized, Xylo sent it ahead via secure transmission to Krylor's high command. He spent the remainder of the journey in quiet contemplation, mixed with an unease that not even the familiar stars could soothe. Upon arriving at Krylor, Xylo was met with a mixture of curiosity and concern. His debriefing was conducted at the highest levels, attended by both military and civilian leadership. His vivid descriptions of Earth's military prowess and his observations on their psychological and tactical preparations provided much fodder for the Council's discussions. The humans are preparing not just to defend, but potentially to dominate, Xylo cautioned. Their capabilities are extensive and advanced, and their strategic planning is detailed and far-reaching. The Council listened intently, the implications of his report clear. There was a palpable shift in the room, a realization that the balance of power might be tilting, and not necessarily in Krylor's favor. Prompted by Xylo's findings, Krylor decided to extend an invitation to Earth for a diplomatic mission. The objective was clear: to bridge the gap of misunderstanding and to clarify Earth's intentions. If hostilities could be avoided through diplomacy, then perhaps the need for war would never arise. A changed perspective. In the weeks that followed, Xylo found himself a central figure in the preparations for the Earth delegation's visit. His experience at the Academy, once a source of personal conflict, now served as a crucial linchpin in the delicate dance of diplomacy. As he worked alongside his colleagues to prepare for the upcoming diplomatic talks, Xylo felt a cautious optimism. Perhaps his mission, initially framed as a simple observational endeavor, had paved the way for a more profound outcome. The possibility of peace, of mutual respect and understanding between Krylor and Earth, seemed within reach. The night before the Earth delegation's arrival, Xylo found himself at Krylor's own observatory, looking out into the cosmos. The stars, once mere points of light, now seemed to him like beacons of hope, each one a potential world of allies or adversaries, opportunities or obstacles. "May we find wisdom in the stars and peace in our hearts," he murmured, a Krylorian prayer for guidance. As Xylo gazed out into the vast, uncharted expanses, he realized that his journey had changed him, not just as a soldier but as a citizen of the cosmos.